The Galaxy A71 5G brings an excellent amount of upgrades over its predecessor. This device is a pleasure to hold and use. The display is a 6.7-inch AMOLED panel. The display is beautiful as well. All the AMOLED awesomeness is present, such as vivid colors with the option to switch to a more natural look, deep blacks, wide viewing angles and excellent brightness levels. Thanks to the Infinity O screen, the bezels have been reduced and the punch hole for the front camera looks better than the U-shaped camera cutout we saw on the Galaxy A70's display. The A71 5G is sleek and light. There's plastic on the back, but the phone feels premium while not being slippery as a phone with a glass back. The in-display optical fingerprint sensor has been improved as well. It's much quicker and more accurate than last year, even more so than theoretically superior ultrasonic in-display sensor on Samsung's flagships. Naturally, facial recognition is supported and it works well most of the time. It is powered by Exynos 980 chipset coupled with 6 or 8 GB of RAM depending on the variant you buy. Performance in day-to-day use is excellent. There's barely any stutter or lag, and all of the graphically intensive gaming titles run well. This phone have quad rear camera setup. The Galaxy A71 5G 64 megapixel primary camera takes 16 megapixel photos using pixel binning, and when the lighting is right, you get really beautiful pictures. There's a lot of detail in daylight shots and good dynamic range. Color reproduction is also faithful to real life in most cases. Nighttime shots come out noisy or grainy, although the dedicated night mode tends to focus on increasing the detail in dark objects rather than controlling noise levels. The 12 megapixel ultra-wide camera takes better photos than the A70 was capable of, at least in terms of the detail captured. The A71 also has a 5 megapixel macro camera, which is a great addition to this setup, and the last one is 5 megapixel depth sensor. You can record 4K video at 30 fps and 1080p super slow-mo video at 960 fps. On the front there is a single 32 megapixel camera for selfies, which delivers great picture quality. It is powered by a 4500 mAh battery with 25 watt fast charging support. It has impressive battery life and can get you up to 2 days on a single charge with light uses on Wi-Fi and a little mobile data, and a full day if you are a heavy user who tends to play games, watch YouTube videos and do other power intensive things on their phone. If you travel a lot, the A71 has excellent endurance even when used as a hotspot. This smartphone sports a big 6.4-inch displays with water drop notch, which Samsung calls Infinity U displays. The bezels aren't thin but are acceptable for the price. Just like with other M series smartphones, Samsung has used plastic in the construction of the Galaxy M31. The earpiece is sleek and it sits right above the display in the frame of the smartphone. The Galaxy M31 feels comfortable to hold in the hand. The sides are slightly curved, which helps with grip. Samsung has positioned the power and volume buttons on the right of the device. The Galaxy M31 has a 3.5mm headphone jack, primary microphone, USB Type-C port and a speaker at the bottom. Samsung has retained the Exynos 9611 chipset from the Galaxy M30s. This is an octa-core processor with great performance. For graphics, it has the Mali G72 GPU. You get 6GB of RAM and a choice between a 64GB storage variant and a 128GB of storage variant. The device is fairly quick to load up apps, however big apps do take slightly longer. Since there is plenty of RAM, multitasking is very easy. The Galaxy M31 sports a quad camera setup at the back and a single 32 megapixel selfie shooter. The primary camera on the Galaxy M31 has a 64 megapixel resolution and 1.8 aperture. There's also an 8 megapixel ultra wide angle camera with a 120 degree field of view. The other two are 5 megapixel depth sensor and a 5 megapixel macro camera. Samsung's camera app is the same as before. Photos turned out well and have decent details. The smartphone enables HDR automatically if required. Switching to the wide angle camera is easy and you can get a wider field of view. This phone is capable of separating subjects and backgrounds when shooting close-ups. Photos taken in low light looked good. Rear camera can record 4K video at 30 fps. There is a single 32 megapixel camera on the front. Selfies taken with the Galaxy M31 were decent when shot with sufficient lighting around. The front delivers good quality pictures all around. You can also record 4K video with the front camera. M31 packs in a big 6000 mAh battery with 15 watt fast charging support. The Samsung Galaxy A80 has a premium glass design with a metal frame running around its circumference which feels good in the hand. The phone comes with a 6.70-inch touchscreen display with a resolution of 1080 by 2400 pixels. With a full HD Plus resolution and a Super AMOLED panel, the display on the Galaxy A80 is bright, clear and colorful, which should be bode well for gamers and Netflix viewers. Samsung Galaxy A80 is powered by a 1.7 GHz octa-core Qualcomm Snapdragon 730G processor that features 2 cores clocked at 2.2 GHz and 6 cores clocked at 1.7 GHz. It comes with 8 GB of RAM. Samsung Galaxy A80 happens to be the first smartphone to launch with a slider mechanism along with rotating camera. The whole point of the rotating cameras on the Samsung Galaxy A80 is so you can utilize the same great cameras on the rear of the phone on the front. The main 48 megapixel sensor is the default camera available to you when you open the camera app. But it's easy to switch between it and the 8 megapixel ultra wide camera which allows you to fit more into your shot. The third camera is a 3D depth sensor providing excellent background blur for the live focus mode which defocuses the background of your shots while keeping the foreground in focus. Overall, this smartphone is an amazing piece of technology specifically for those who love gaming and passionate about smartphone photography. First, the A51 is light, really light. Samsung has always done a good job of building featherweight phones that still feel well made, and the A51 is proof of that. Its 6.5-inch display is nearly 2 inches larger than the 4.7-inch panel inside the Apple's new iPhone SE. The A51 display is flat, which is actually a breath of fresh air from the curved panels in every modern premium handset. It's hard to put my finger on, but a flat screen simply feels simpler to use and easier to live with. The A51 is attractive with its super slim bezels and a display that perfectly follows the silhouette of the body. But it gets better, the A51 has a headphone jack. One of the best things about last year's Galaxy A50 was its AMOLED display, which is a luxury typically reserved for more premium devices. Rather than use a rear-mounted fingerprint sensor, the A51 comes with an in-display optical scanner that works well most of the time. Rather than using one of Qualcomm's mid-range 600 or 700 series chipsets, the Galaxy A51 derives its power from Samsung's own Exynos 9611 CPU and 6 or 8 GB of RAM depending on the variant. The A51 excels at games. For a budget handset anyway, you can play most of the popular games without any problem. You might expect 1 or 2 cameras from a $400 phone, but the Galaxy A51 has 4 on the back. A 48 megapixel wide-angle primary shooter supported by 12 megapixel ultra-wide, 5 megapixel depth and 5 megapixel macro optics. A 32 megapixel sensor serves selfie duties on the front. That's a whole lot of megapixels, and when conditions are favorable, the A51 can pull in lot of detail. We like the A51's depth effects. The ultra-wide shooter shines when the sun is out. There's a surprising level of detail overall in Samsung's shot and good dynamic range as you move from shadows to daylight. Well, so what about the night shots? Well, you would think the A51 would be better equipped for such scenarios because it has a night mode, something Apple's cheapest iPhone lacks. In complete darkness, the shots it captures are not that great. You can record 4K videos at 30 fps. Pictures taken with the selfie camera delivers great color and details. Samsung has used a 4000 mAh battery into the Galaxy A51. That big battery plus the A51's hardware being optimized more for efficiency than all-out power should guarantee exceptional battery life. This device also supports 15-watt fast charging. Samsung A50s smartphone was launched in September 2019. The phone comes with a 6.4-inch Super AMOLED touchscreen display with an aspect ratio of 19.5:9. It is powered by Exynos 9610 processor. It comes with 6 GB of RAM. As far as the cameras are concerned, the Samsung A50s on the rear packs a triple camera setup consisting of a 48 megapixel main shooter and 8 megapixel ultra-wide lens along with a 5 megapixel depth sensor. There is a 32 megapixel camera on the front for selfies. This device is based on Android 9.0 Pie and packs 128 GB of inbuilt storage that can be expanded via microSD card up to 1 TB. It is powered by a 4000 mAh battery with 15-watt fast battery charging support.